This is Beak, Feather, and Bone in 5 minutes. BFB is a map labeling RPG by Tyler Crumrine of Possible Worlds Games. It is a fantastic game on its own, but I like to think of it as sort of the perfect setup for an ongoing campaign or other game that you're going to be playing with another system. Here's how it works. Here's this beautiful, awesome city that comes with BFB. It's filled with buildings, and none of them are labeled. You have no idea what any of this is for. What do? Well, you sit down with yourself and a bunch of friends, and you all take on the role of major communities or factions in this city. And that could be things like the farmers or the ranchers, the magi, the elders, things like that. You all take on these roles, and that's the community that you're going to represent as you start to literally color in and fill in this map with each other. How the game works is you draw a card. For example, I draw something like the Seven of Hearts. That card tells you a couple of things on your turn. First, the suit. The suit tells you what the building that you're about to select on the map, its purpose is. So, for example, hearts are for social purposes. So I know that I'm about to decide, as let's say the farmers, a building somewhere on this map that has a social purpose to the city. The other thing that the card tells us is a value. A 7 here is a sort of like a score for the card. You're going to hold all the cards that you gather throughout your time playing this game, and you're going to sum them together to see who has the most power. We'll come back to that in just a second. So on my turn, I get to take a look at this big, beautiful map and think, okay, which building do I want to select as a social building? I pick any of the buildings on the map that I like, and I literally color it in, maybe with a marker, a colored pencil, or I just circle it with my own ink to show that I've laid claim to this spot. I then take a note card and I write in 3 important details about it: the beak, the feather, and the bone of the location. The beak, what do people say about this place? The feather, what does it look like? And the bone, what's going on inside? That could literally mean what's actually going on inside, or maybe more like a representation or like a reputation that the building has amongst the community. You go around, each of you taking turns, drawing cards and adding things to the map, slowly filling this black and white map with more and more color until you've played enough. You get to decide as a group how long you want to play the game, and once you've played enough, you say stop. And what do you do after that? Well, I told you that these things all have scores on them, essentially. You add them up. Whoever has the highest score across all of the cards that have been written down gets to lay claim to the sort of center of power in the map. See, at the very beginning, you're going to pick one building on the map that is the center of power. It could be like this very big structure in the middle, this giant thing here, or any building that you all want. Whoever has the highest score gets to claim that center of power, technically the winner then of BFB. So you can see how it's a little bit competitive, but it's not actually a competition. What you've done now is created a city that's filled with interesting factions and locations that you can take on to your next campaign. There's one other twist in the cards that I didn't mention yet, which is face cards. So like this is a 7 of hearts, right? So it's just a score of 7 and it's a social thing. If you draw a face card, you actually get to create an NPC, a rival from one of the other factions that opposes the building's purpose. So now, not only do you have a map full of locations that you can explore, but there are people in here who are fighting one another inside these factions. BFB is an awesome, awesome game on its own, but you can imagine now how you could use this to set up any kind of campaign that you want to take place in a city setting. Ready to sit down and do a big mega campaign in an urban sprawl? Play BFB and fill it up with a whole bunch of worlds. Speaking of a whole bunch of worlds, depending on when you're watching this, Tyler is running a Kickstarter for an expansion for this, for 10 more maps. So once you've played this once, I mean, you can play it again and again and still have fun, but now there's a whole bunch of new maps that you can test out and play out and build your own campaigns with that go beyond just the original thing. I cannot recommend BFB enough. I mean, I'm a sucker for birds and crows, so of course I'm going to like it on its own, but just truly as a tool to set up an ongoing campaign, I don't think there's many things that could possibly beat it. So have a great time with it, and we'll see you next time. Bye.